Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Young Guns podcast. I'm your host, Luca, and we have a trade to announce, boys and girls. Kevin Hayes has finally been moved from the Philadelphia Flyers to the St. Louis Blues. There was a lot of talk over the weekend that he was most likely going to get traded this weekend in a bigger deal that would have involved guys like Travis Sanheim, Torrey Krug, a few other pieces going back the other way for Philly and St. Louis, but ultimately, uh, apparently Torrey Krug just didn't want to join Philly and he didn't want to waive his no move clause. So Philly had to settle for a sixth round pick going to going to them for Kevin Hayes. Now, Kevin Hayes is a very interesting player. He's a very good center. He's 31 years old. He's played for three teams in his NHL career. He's played for the Rangers, the Jets, and obviously Philly. Last year, 81 games played, 18 goals, 36 assists, 54 points, minus 22, obviously on a bad Philly team. He's a guy who makes $7.1 million. However, Philly is retaining 50% of that contract, which means he'll be making 3.571 with the St. Louis Blues. So this is a good deal for the Blues. They get themselves a very good center who is on a cost-effective deal, basically 3.5 million for the next 3 years. And it's a good move. It's a guy that I think is going to bring some offense to St. Louis. It's going to bolster their forward core a little bit, and it's going to give them a chance to potentially help them, make the playoffs. I think Doug Armstrong wants this to be really quick and a retool that's really quick. And St. Louis didn't have to do much to get rid of it. Just a sixth-round pick to acquire him, which I think is a steal for St. Louis. For Philly, they clear cap, but I don't really get this move for Philly. I think for Kevin Hayes, yes, it's an opportunity to get a change of scenery, and for Philly, obviously they're trying to rebuild, but I think that they could have probably held off and gotten something bigger. Now I know that he makes 7.1 million. Nobody was going to take his full cap space, but even at 3.5 million, he's useful. I just think a sixth round pick is just not a good enough return for Philly. So I think St. Louis ends up getting this steal. Now, what I like about this is because if you look at the lines here for the St. Louis Blues, let's just look at it a little bit. So obviously their top line right now is Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, Brandon Saad, and then you've got a second line of Kasperi Kapanen, Pavel Buchnevich, and Sammy Blais. For me, I think that he probably gets on this team at some point. He's probably going to be that second, third line center for the St. Louis Blues. I don't see a situation where Buchnevich plays center. I think Kasperi Kapanen moves down the wing, but the Blues have a really good center core and a really good team offensively there. And you're adding a guy like Kevin Hayes to a very good St. Louis team that's already got a lot of forwards. If you look at their core, right, Kairu's still locked up for long term. Robert Thomas locked up long term. You've got Braden Shen now at 6.5 for the next 5 years. Buchnevich only has 2 years left. Saad's got 3 years left, and then you got Kevin Hayes at 2 years left. But it's a good move, and you know what? He probably becomes their third line center, maybe their fourth line center, but most probably their third line center. And I think he can play a really effective role there. He's a guy who can play the two-way game. He's more of a passer than a shooter, but he can score goals. I think this is really good for St. Louis, and they're adding a guy who's still in his prime of his career. 31 is not old by any means, right? It's obviously not young, but when you look at how much Braden Shen is making and you look at how old he is, to get Kevin Hayes at basically half of what Braden Shen is making, I think is absolutely a little bit less than half, a little bit more than half of what Braden Shen is making. I think that's absolutely fantastic for them. So the Blues do a very good job here. They've acquired somebody that I think is going to help them long term, at least for the next 3 years. And they didn't have to give up much to do it. For Philly, listen, they clear cap. They're obviously going to be rebuilding. I wouldn't be surprised to see guys like Travis Sanheim move, Scott Lawton, Travis Konechny as well. They're clearly in a position to rebuild. They traded Ivan Provorov already. And it looks like they're not done yet. Danny Brea is going to make some more moves, but I'm curious to see what else happens. Obviously, boys and girls, if you guys are interested, obviously, please feel free to write stuff in the comments down below on what your thoughts on this deal is. I think personally the St. Louis Blues win this deal. I just don't see how they don't. I think they've done a fantastic job here. They're getting a guy who got 50 points last year on one of the worst teams in the NHL. To me, that's impressive. And he's a guy who can average 50 points. He's a guy that's done it. He had a career year last year. And he's a good serviceable player. He scored 20 goals a few times in his career as well. this is a fantastic move for the Blues. And I don't really have much else to say about that other than the fact that they've got the cap space to take this on now. They've got 3.9 million, but they don't really have to sign anybody. So I think St. Louis might be in the position of maybe clear cap. Maybe they trade Torrey Krug finally. Maybe they trade Nick Leddy. They have 7 defensemen. We'll see what they do. And obviously they have 3 first-round picks. So I think St. Louis is in a really good position here, and they acquire somebody for absolutely really cheap. I like this move. I think Kevin Hayes is going to be really good for St. Louis, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he does. Anyways, guys, let us know in the comments down below and in the comment section below what your thoughts on this deal is. Do you like this deal for St. Louis? Do you think St. Louis did a good job acquiring Kevin Hayes? And what other players do you think are going to be moved next? Also, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and also tune in to our draft video tomorrow. Our live, we're going to be starting at 7 o'clock, so get ready for that. It's going to be a fun video, so I'm looking forward to that, and it's going to be some, enjoyable. We're going to see who each team drafts, and maybe St. Louis might use all 3 of their first round picks. We'll never know. So let's just see what happens. But thank you guys for watching, and until next time, peace.